Hello, so this one's going to be a bit of a older VOD. So this was back when I was in Emerald, but not too long ago. This is going to be a built diff game. I'm sorry I didn't have time to record a new VOD for today because I'm going to be out. I'm probably out as this video is being uploaded as we speak here. But anyways, built diff is something that is kind of awkwardly strong, but not quite. In the current state of the meta, it's very hard to justify playing around a 4 cost unless your spot is really good for it. Built diff is always really good if the 4 costs themselves are quite reliable and quite strong. There are a lot of very strong 4 costs. The problem is, if nobody else is playing 4 costs, it makes it very hard for you to hit and build a board all by yourself. TFT has an inherent balancing and effect by sharing the pool with other players that, you know, if you're thinning out the pool of certain costs of units, it makes it easier for you to hit, but also makes it easier for other people to hit those same costs. It's why when reroll metas are very dominant, it feels very awful, because all the rerollers, the more people in the lobby that are playing reroll, they'll make it easier for each other to hit. The same way, the meta might feel really bad when it's a very 4 cost dominated meta, because when it's a very 4 cost dominated meta, sometimes they'll contest your units, they'll hold on to your unit, then you don't hit them. But at the same time, if people are contesting one set of units, so if you're contested and other people aren't, everybody's thinning out the pool to make it easier to hit 4 costs, and then that's why when a 4 cost strategy is somewhat dominant, and the whole lobby ends up playing 4 costs, then everybody hits their 4 cost units and they all hit upgrades and it's insane. And then if you try and play a reroll comp in that situation, it's pretty bad. I would say right now that's the main issue with built diff, is like hopefully like you can get into like a high roll enough spot such that it works out really well. The way built diff works is basically if you have no traits active, you can read it on the left hand side. If there are no traits active, your whole board will gain health as well as attack speed, and it increases in the later stages of the game. Now built diff is very strong if you actually hit all of the upgrades. The main thing that you're trying to play with built diff is higher quality units that can make use of that HP and attack speed. So a lot of times you're rolling for making a board out of mostly 4 costs. Currently, that's not the highest cap of built diff. You actually want to aim more towards 5 costs eventually. But it's very difficult to justify, just like you can't just take it and say, I'm going to go 9, I'm going to play a bunch of 5 costs. But if you look at built diff, it's a very high roll augment to take. I assume that I infer that if there is less rerolls around, that built diff will be a lot more reliable, but I would not suggest taking it unless you are very strong. So here, I had upgrades already, if I'm not mistaken, when I took it. Yeah, when I took it, as you can, so caramelized comforts, that's a little bit waste, so I'm looking for anything that really helps me. Portable forge is very, like, you know, hit or miss. But if you look at my board right now, I have 2 units that are upgraded already. Right, I have the Soraka upgrade and the Twitch upgrade. The way you should always think about built diff is if in the early game you can streak, and if you're going to win every fight early game, then you will likely be in a good spot where you'll have a lot of HP as well as gold to then convert to a 4 cost / 5 cost board that will then make your built diff board very strong in the late game. In terms of built diff, if we go through it in the stat, I'm just going to pull up stats just to show you what I mean by it. So if you look at built different, it's not that bad. It's pretty much average, right? If you look at it, it's a 4.5 and it averages 50% of the time. I take it because I like to have fun with it, because I just want any glimmer of hope of being able to play a 4 cost board and not a reroll board, because I hate playing rerolls and it makes me really sad. And it's why I'm not enjoying the patch very much, because the hero augments, between the hero augments and other rerolls and 1 cost being strong, like every single game I feel like I just have to commit to 1 and send it. But at least with built diff, there's a little bit of fun to be had sometimes. And if you look at the units that are good with it, it's all the 5 costs. That's the main problem with built diff that you run into a lot of the time. If you're thinking about what your highest cap best board is that makes the board really strong, it's a matter of hitting the 5 costs. If you're not hitting the 5 costs, then you're averaging in that 50% like hit or miss. Maybe you make it, maybe you don't. I think built diff was a lot stronger in some of the previous patches, or earlier in the patch. It's usually a little bit stronger. This patch has been very dominated by rerolls, mostly because of the hero augments as well as some of the other comps that are reroll. Before then, earlier in the previous patch, for example, like right after Syndra got nerfed, a lot of people were trying to play around different 4 costs, and even in the Syndra meta, there was a couple 4 cost boards that were viable. So built diff was very good. And that's the way you should always think about it. It's like if there's a lot of 4 costs, and if you look at your lobby and people are going to be playing 4 costs, then you just pick the ones that people aren't playing and you make a board out of it, and built diff is going to carry you because it's very strong. But like I said, you really want to be able to hit the 5 cost. You want to be in a high roll spot, because the more gold that you have to roll to stabilize on level 8 and eventually go 9, the better you'll be. So you don't want to take built diff ever if you don't have a good opener. You never want to like open fort, try and lose streak all of stage 2 and then play built diff. It's more so like you want to be so far ahead and doing so much damage and have upgrades already, and then it's maybe a viable option to take built diff, because then you'll be able to justify making it to these late game boards. The main unit that's built diff is really like the Giga unit is Milio. The reason Milio is so good is because not only does Milio not have a unique trait that would activate built differently, Milio also gives items to everybody. And because you're going to have all these 4 costs with a bunch of HP and a bunch of attack speed, you really want to have Milio in that can just drop a bunch of items on everybody. The other units that I really like to play around is Nasus and Nami. Nami is not that contested a lot of the time, and Nami just does a huge amount for your board in terms of stunning and doing damage, and she uses attack speed really well. And Nasus scales off of HP, so Nasus works really well. I had a previous video with built diff where I had built diff with 2 tanky or something like that. You can't get that option anymore. It's not allowed according to TFT augment rules. They just won't allow it to happen. But it works out really well because Nasus scaling off the HP becomes really strong and can work almost like a carry as well as a tank because of how much HP he's going to get from the built diff trait. But anyways, that's like the little overview. As you can see, I'm winning a lot of these rounds. I have a lot of upgrades, and you really want to win early with built diff. It's not like, that's why it's very high roll, because it's very hard to guarantee a winning and a losing. I got this Cassidon, by the way. The reason I have a Cassidon on my board is because I got the charm that polymorphed my 1 cost into a 2 cost, so now I just have a Cassidon 2 on my board. As you can see, I'm just playing high cost units. Ooh, whoa. Why was I going to sell the Cassidon? That was scary. I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I was talking to stream. I was just pointing something out. But anyways, oh, sorry. I should actually like to make a board for you guys so you have an understanding. I just wanted to show the Cassidon really fast. Here, I'll show you roughly the board. When you're playing the board, there's a couple units that you want to play and there's a couple units you don't want to play. The main units that you want to play, like if you go through all the 5 costs, the ones that you don't want to play are the ones that have these traits. These traits are usually pretty bad. You'll see that sometimes Morgana is on the board. I wouldn't recommend it. We'll come back to that. But basically, you want to avoid the units that have singular abilities. And then because these are the 5 costs that you can play. The 5 costs are very strong. If you can get them even at 1 star, they're usually very strong with built diff. So you want to avoid the 4 costs that share traits with them. So for example, you rarely want to play around Rise, because Rise will interfere with Milio, and you rarely want to play around Rakan because Rakan will interfere with Milio, and Milio is going to be way more important than Rise and Rakan ever will be. Of course, you have the option, in some cases, you have to be a little bit flexible. If you have a Rise 2, you can buy a Rise 2 and play a Rise 2 until you have a Milio. It's obviously going to be better. I'm not saying don't buy Rise ever. What I'm saying is long term, these are not the units you usually want. You want the units that don't share any traits with any of the other units, such that you can then make a board that's very strong even on level 8 or level 9. So for example, you don't want to buy Varus because he shares a trait with Blaster, but a lot of times you'll play something like this. Melee units are often very good. I typically like to play around Fiora because I find that Fiora just makes great use of her stats, but you'll play units such as this. Obviously you just try, I don't want to make it overly complicated. Just try and find 4 cost and 5 cost units that don't share traits with each other, and then just build around that, and it's pretty easy to do. But typically your board will look something like this. A lot of times you're not as high roll, so let's just remove the Milio, and then you'll just play like a Taric and a Karma, and you'll have like a dual backline unit and a frontline unit, and it'll look something like this on your level 8 or 9. And then once you get 5 costs, you can then swap out the units and play the 5 costs instead. A lot of other times I'll usually have like, instead of Fiora or Olaf, I'll have like Gwen or something like that. But typically your backline is going to be Karma Nami, just because they're pretty reliable, and then you just build like generic AP items. Like Adaptive Helm goes really hard in this comp because you can put on anybody. But your board will look something like this a lot of the time. Let's go back to the game. So as you can see, I'm just 100 streaking. I'm doing great. I'm 40 gold, 100 streaking, level 5. I am in a very good spot. Because not only did I have these upgrades of 1 stars, I then got the polymorph to get a free 2-star upgrade, which I can then use to continue to streak. and I'm just trying to build as strong a board as possible. The main thing that you want to put in are upgraded units. Doesn't matter what they are as long as they don't share traits with each other, or you're putting in what's it called, units with high HP, right? So these Mordekaisers, for example, putting 2 Mordekaisers is totally viable, right? Because Mordekaiser is just a frontline unit. It does not matter to me. So I'm playing 2 Mordekaisers because a Mordekaiser 1 is going to have more HP and do more damage than a Jace 1. Here I'm just making items, right? I'm making my melee items because I'm probably going to play either Fiora, I can play Gwen, or I can play Olaf. So I make Hodge and Sterex because those are going to be my frontline items. Crown Guard can be a generic tank item for anybody, so that's totally fine. And like I said, you want to be really, really strong early because you want to preserve a lot of HP and a lot of gold. You want to win streak as much as you can. And here my board is really strong because I have this Kassadin upgrade with the built diff. Multi-striker isn't even that important on Kassadin because as he's still going to scale up his auto attacks really hard and he's going to have so much HP that it's fine. It's good enough to streak. So then we get silver augments here. Keepers is pretty good, but I think it's a little bit of diminishing returns. Like I said, you just want gold, and I hit lunch money. Now, I looked at the stats a little bit before the stream that I played this video, and I remember I was explaining to chat that I didn't understand why lunch money was so good. And it seems like it like usually the ones that are contingent on dealing damage, I find that in the past weren't that good in the stats, but maybe that's just me. Lunch money is really good. I don't know if it's just the number, like it just gives a lot of gold, but I'll tell you, this video today, it showed me why lunch money is good. Like, I earned so much gold from this because my board is already strong as shit. Basically, every 8 damage I deal to an opponent, I get 2 gold cash outs. And it actually works out to be a lot of gold. I'm going to be very, very rich this game, which is actually really funny because I think it was like the stream before this one where I was like, is lunch money even good? Why does it say lunch money is so good according to people? I tried it out. I'm like, holy fuck, this lunch money is actually pretty good here. So like I said, built diff is going to be like a strong enough combat. Typically when you're taking charms, you want to pick combat charms because they help you scale into late game and they make you really strong in the late game. However, I already have built diff, which is going to scale and be like the Giga combat charm. You can almost think of built diff as the equivalent of like a hero augment in the same way that it just like buffs your board to like an unremarkably different level. And you're usually playing a set board with it that you already know about. In this case, primarily, we're going to be fine with, we don't need a silver combat. So we take lunch money because we just want to get as much gold as possible. I'm level 650 gold at 3-3. We're in a decent spot to have a nice level 8 roll down, and that's probably what we're going to do. We're just going to roll down on level 8 and try our best to hit as many units as possible that we can, as well as find as many upgrades as we can and try and stabilize around those. I want to draw your attention to one thing, back to the stats. If you look at the stats before, like I'll go back to the Explorer, you'll see that there's a couple of units that are a little bit weird with built diff. But I just want to draw attention to it to make it a little bit more reasonable for you to understand. You'll see that Nora ranks very, very high in built diff. Now Nora has the trait of best friends, so Nora herself doesn't take advantage of built diff. However, the Yuumi portion of Nora does so much to help your board in terms of passive healing as well as dealing extra damage on a unit that putting it on your carry actually makes Nora very viable to play on the board. The same thing applies with Morgana. You'll see that there's some preserver units that do okay on the board. I forget who. I think it was like, I think like there's like the idea that because your board has so much juice, you just sack built diff on like 1 or 2 units. So for example, you sack it on Morgana and you sack it on Nora, because you can actually build a board that's really, really strong with having like one trait in, basically, right? So you'll see here, for example, like the traits best friends, Ascendant, Bat Queen, Arcana, even Bastion and Shapeshifter sometimes. Like there's some of these traits where even if you have in just one of them, because it these are the traits that buff your whole board a lot of the time. So for example, like Bastion gives your whole board 10 armor, and because they have a bunch of HP, it makes everybody really tanky. So a lot of times it actually makes sense that it's still viable to play some of these. Obviously, it's in a very, very low circumstance. These sample sizes are way smaller. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's always to do. But even before, I think in previous patches where I think there was a higher sample size, you'll see that the Nora usually does pretty well. Even here where there's like a little bit more, it's a couple patches ago. The main thing I'm just trying to say is that don't get too scared about it. Because, like, you know, if you have a Nora 1 it might be better than having some random other unit, even though the Nora doesn't take advantage of built diff. It doesn't ruin it for your board, just Nora that doesn't take it, and then the Yumi can help out your carry. So for example, if you have like a Fiora 2 and you have like a free spot on your board because you don't have an upgraded other unit, you can just play Nora instead and then get the extra juice. And the same with like Morgana, that can get you a bunch of gold, or Bastion, which can get you a bunch of Bastion armor for everybody, or get you a little bit of Bastion armor for everybody. It's just something I wanted to say. I think so. I was looking. I forget where I was seeing the guide, but they were explaining like the benefit of Nora versus not Nora on a built diff board. I forget the link to it. I don't have it on me. I apologize. But it makes sense. Like, for example, on this board, right? I can have this Shyvana that has like a little bit of extra HP and attack speed, or I can just remove the Shyvana and put a Nora here and Yumi my Kassadin, right? That's the logic you should have in that case. So don't skip on Nora with built diff, even though she doesn't apply it to you. Even though she doesn't apply it, even though built diff doesn't apply to her, the extra effective Yumi on your other units is really important in some cases, or really nice to have. Just want to make that little aside. Morgana, I think, is mostly the generation of the gold. She's just a really good frontline unit, even without built diff. So I don't even think you have to play Preserver with her, but even then, you can sometimes... I've seen people play Preserver with built diff in one of my lobbies, and it went pretty hard because basically you just sack 2 units that otherwise would be doing nothing if they're unupgraded, and then you just get your whole board passive healing, and they already have a bunch of HP, so it just works out really nicely. As you can see, we're 100 streaking the whole game. It's 10 streak, right? We're 10 streaking in this house. We're level 7, 80 gold on 3-7. We are in such an amazing spot. This is what I mean to say. Like, Lunch Money gave me a bunch of gold. I've been generating so much gold, and not only that, I'm already really strong. That's what I was saying. You should very rarely ever take built diff if you don't have a good opener. My opener was really good. And then I also hit minor polymorph. I think it's pretty common to hit minor polymorph. Like, one of the polymorphs are appear pretty often in my shops. So if you have upgraded 1 cost, the trick that you do is you sell all your other 1 costs to make sure that the polymorph hits the upgraded one. Here it works out really well because built diff, I can play around any unit, right? Even this Kassadin worked out nicely because he's a frontline unit, so he makes great use of the HP. Even a backline unit would have been all right. Here I leveled on 4-1. I don't think that's the right decision. I'm going to be honest here. I think I should have waited a turn. Now, maybe I'm wrong to say that, but I'm pretty sure I should have waited a turn to do it on 4-2. I'm not really rolling for a contested board, right? Because I'm just playing any 4 costs. It's not like somebody's going to hold on to the particular 4 cost that I want to play. I can basically play any melee 4 cost and any backline 4 costs and 5 costs, so I should be fine no matter what. I think it was a little bit of a waste of gold. I was a little bit over eager with the Lunch Money. I should have waited 1 turn, make a little bit more interest, and then use that to roll down more effectively, and then I can just send it to 0 this turn and just make sure I hit as many upgrades as possible. All these are pretty bad. How many lesser champions? I'm not playing threes a crowd because I'm not playing 3 cost units. Clockwork Accelerator isn't that good, but we'll take it, I guess. Whatever. I have a magnetic remover, so I'm just going to itemize this Diana right now, and we're going to see. So, yeah, just put in this guy, sell the Vanguards. Tahm Kench is better than, like, obviously, if you, before you transition, you should always double check to make sure that your units are actually good, right? So, like, for example, if I had Mordekaiser 2, I probably wouldn't play Tahm Kench, but now that I have Tahm Kench 2, he's going to have more HP and do more than that. I lose the Varus for, what's his name? For Nasus, because I think Nasus is just way better. And then I find a Smolder. Smolder does a lot of damage, but you really need to ramp up the Smolder, which is the only problem that I run into. I expect to lose some of these fights, by the way. This is the problem with built diff, and as well as playing 4 cost in general. The board's very expensive. So just not only do you have to roll for units, even buying the units makes it so, and upgrading the units makes it so that you run into spots where you don't necessarily have enough gold to properly structure your board on stage 4. Stage 4 for 4 cost boards a lot of times is you try and find like 1 copy of everything, and then you use stage 4 to either decide if you're like really low HP, you can slow roll or send it every single turn to try and find upgrades, but you're trying to make your board over the course of stage 4, and then stage 5 your board is complete and you're trying to figure out how to cap it. That's how you should always think about 4 cost boards. But here I'm just buying stuff. I'm gonna roll a little bit more. I lost a round, so that wasn't necessarily good. The one cost champion charm I was thinking of buying for the sake of getting extra gold, but it's fine. I can also slam Archangels. I think the only reason I'm not slamming Archangels is because I would much rather slam a mana item on the Nami, so I want to make either blue buff or Shojin off Carousel. So I'm trying to greed a little bit because I have so much HP to work with. I can also turn this rod into a smolder item. I can turn it into a Guinsu. Right now, all my items are committed to this Diana 1, which I'm hoping to carry me. As you can see, I'm fighting a Poppy reroller with the Witchcraft +1 and Poppy Hero Augment. I don't know if I'm going to necessarily beat this guy, but his whole board is ass except for the Poppy, so I'm pretty sure I can just overwhelm with how much tankiness I have on my units because of built diff. My board also benefits from lasting longer because of the... Also, look, if I was first pick, I could have this Diana. It's okay, that guy had Young Wild and Free, took it anyways. But anyways, I have Clockwork Accelerator. Clockwork Accelerator as the third augment isn't necessarily the best augment. A lot of times, there's some of these augments like Clockwork Accelerator, Blossoming Lotus, just to name a few. Like, there's whenever you read an augment and it says, after X amount of time, gain this. Or every 3 seconds, gain this. Or when 3 units die, gain this. Like, if you have to wait for your augment to kick in, a lot of times, it's just not good. Also, by the way, Smolder 2 out of nowhere. So that's the high roll that pretty much means I'm going first, I think. I got a Shojin because I just wanted to make a Nami item, right? I said I want either Shojin or blue buff to make sure my Nami casts. Out of nowhere, I'm just Smolder 2 on level 8. That's good enough. Yeah, we're good to go. GG, shake my hand. 90 HP, Smolder 2. I just need to make Smolder items now. It's unfortunate because I didn't make them already, but holy shit, that's a high roll. I'm Diana paired as well, by the way. So we're in an insane spot right now. But anyways, what I was trying to say is with Clockwork Accelerator, for example, whenever you have to wait for an augment to kick in, it has to be really fucking good. Like Final Ascension, for example, is usually pretty bad unless you're playing a hero augment, because the hero augment, you're guaranteed to have some unit that just like takes forever to die, so then it works out that it activates. But a lot of the times these things don't activate, and then also I think I'm losing to this Nasus. Yeah, I got fucking Zillion Bomb. My Smolder just froze in the air. But anyways, because you have to wait for them to kick in, sometimes the fight doesn't last that long. And if the fight doesn't last long enough for it to kick in, you run into a problem of, well, now what do I do? Because, you know, I'm sitting here waiting for this fight to kick in, waiting for my augment to kick in, it's not working. So you have to be very careful when you take it. Because my board has a lot of tankiness with the built diff, everybody's getting a bunch of HP, my units are going to live a little bit longer. Like, they're going to live long enough that Clockwork Accelerator is going to start to kick in, that it will last long enough that the fight won't be over instantly. And that's really important to understand. If you have a comp where you're very glass cannon, you're trying to burst down your opponent, the augment won't do anything because you're just going to run into a problem. You're just going to sit there and you're going to wait for your augment to kick in, and it won't kick in, and then you'll just lose the game for free. In this case, because the fight's going on, look, as you can see, the fight's already been going on for like 20 seconds. I'm getting this Clockwork Accelerator to proc a lot. My Diana's getting a lot of attack speed, and so is my Smolder, and it's helping out my board. That's the reason why it's okay in this spot, but most of the time, you'll see that if I'm streaming or something, I'll be skipping it, right? It's just a matter of understanding if your board is, if it's reliable enough for your board, right? The same thing with stuff like Blossoming Lotus and other augments like that. It's like you want the augment to kick in as soon as possible. You don't want it to kick in after the fight's already over. Anyways, there's quite a few rerollers. We have the Smolder. Honestly, just any Smolder items, I'm down. Right? The Smolder will carry me. Right? Upgraded Smolder with built diff. He's going to have a bunch of attack speed and a bunch of damage. We'll be very happy. Definitely just take a Guinsu here. I don't have Armor Shred. I don't have Anti-Heal. Right? My board isn't necessarily the greatest board ever. But we have a Smolder too. And that's kind of how you play built diff. I really have to tempo. When you tempo your items, you can't greed them to have certain like types of components and types of items and stuff like that. Right? I have to slam my items early on this Diana to make sure that the Diana carries me into the mid and late game. And that's what sometimes happens. I'm just rolling here for upgrades. A lot of times, I very rarely want to go level 9, right? The gold investment to go level 9, yes, it makes it easier to hit 5 costs, but it's not worth it a lot of the time. Because, especially with built diff, there's the extra win con you'll see that I'm holding this Gwen. Because you're buying so many 4 costs, especially if other people are buying 4 costs and you're not like contesting each other, there's many times where you just win out by hitting like a 3-star 4 cost. So there's a good chance that I might just like win out and I might hit Gwen 3, who knows. So because I'm wasting so much gold buying units, it's like it doesn't make sense a lot of time to go level 9, even though so that's why built diff is a very high roll comp. You just have to have so much gold that you hit like the 5 cost on level 8, which isn't impossible, by the way. I'm Diana paired, I'm Camille paired, I'm Smolder too already, and I've seen a lot of Morganas in shop. But basically I'm rolling. I still don't have Nami, by the way. Oh no, I do have Nami. I upgraded Nami. Never mind. I was gonna say it's been a while since I've seen Nami upgraded. Here, this guy's probably just better than Rakan straight up. Yeah. Like I said, any upgraded 4 cost is good. So, oh, did I sell Diana? Oh, I think I almost sold Diana there. That was scary. I saw my mouse hovering over the Diana. Sometimes I press my mouse button because E is the short command to delete a unit, like to sell a unit. So E is on my side mouse button. So sometimes when I hover over a unit, if I grip my mouse too tight, I'm always scared that I'm gonna accidentally press E and just like lose on the spot. Also, I don't know what happened this fight because my Smolder was attacking the Karma and then he started attacking the front line again out of nowhere. But as you can see, we're losing a lot of fights now. This doesn't seem like the most insane board ever, obviously. That's because we don't have any upgrades to the main item holders. I'm greeding a little bit because I have this Diana. If I was 1 HP, let's say I was very low HP, it's instantly sell the Diana and put those items on either the Olaf or the Gwen. You want to put the items on the upgraded units because they have more HP to work with. The Diana is just not going to cut it in a lot of these fights, and that's really important to understand. I'm greeting them on the Diana because I'm Diana paired, and I'm hoping that I can then use the Diana. The Diana 2 is going to be a better use of these items in terms of just doing raw damage. But, like I said, I want to chill for a second and just not do that. My items are also very split up, by the way. As you can see, I have 1 item on this Smolder, I have 2 items on a Nami, and then I have items on a Diana 1. So I just run into an awkward situation where it's like, you know, I could make a better board, but I just don't have the, like you know what I mean? Like the way my items worked out. Even the Diana items aren't perfect because Sterix isn't that good on Diana. Obviously, it's not the perfect game, but I wanted to show you this because there's a lot of cool things that do happen here. Also, this guy, every single time, Young Wild and Free took every Diana off this carousel. Like, god damn it. But anyways, like I said, I have a lot of HP. I was really far ahead. That's why you really need a lot of HP with built diff. You need to have time to get extra items. You need to itemize everybody. I don't have a Milio that's going to drop everybody some items. Milio would obviously help this board out a lot because everybody would just have items. But you need the time to fix things out because you don't know exactly what you're going to hit. And you can't necessarily play around it, right? I didn't make Smolder items saying I'm going to hit a Smolder. I didn't know if I was going to hit a Smolder. Also, it's Radiant Blessing and it gave me a spat. I don't need a spat. I'm like built diff. Also, by the way, I didn't know this at the time. You can reforge a spat. Do I do that? Hopefully I do that. You know, if you take a spat and you just reforge it, you can just reforge a spat, by the way. Okay, so it's Hodge, Crown Guard, and I'm down for Edge of Night. No, reforge the spat. Oh, I made Deathblade. I put on Olaf. Oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. So if you reforge a spat, it will turn into a random component. I'm not saying like you make the spat into like an emblem. I'm saying if you just take the spat the spatula, like the golden spatula, and you put a reforger on it, or you put on a unit and then you reforge it, it will turn into a component. And I should have done that. Because I'm built diff, I don't have a use for a spat. I think I know that trick. I think in the moment I forgot about it because I was more concerned with like reforging the items. So that's just my bad. And then this putting Deathblade on Olaf isn't necessarily the best, but now I have 3 items on. I have 3 items Smolder now, so I should be stronger than most of the people. I find a Nora, so now I can put the Yumi on the Smolder. It gives him some passive healing to make sure he doesn't get randomly sniped, as well as some extra damage boost over time. So actually in a pretty good spot. Out of nowhere, Smolder, like we had the Smolder 2 for a while, but that's what I was saying. Like now that we have items for him, We're in a decent spot now. And obviously Yumi doesn't necessarily, Nor and Yumi don't take into account built diff, excuse me. But the extra effect, like, you know, it's better than some random shitter on my board because I'm just boosting the damage on my Smolder, who's already like gonna one-shot the whole board. Right, look at this shit. This guy was so much stronger than me, but now I have Smolder 2, 3 items, 13k damage from Smolder, nice. And lunch money cash out, because I'm doing a bunch of damage now, so I'm gonna get even more gold. And I'm probably just gonna keep rolling. I really want Diana too, honest to God. Also, I should just made Edge of Night on Diana too. What am I thinking? I reforged into a fucking Deathblade. What the fuck? Also Milio. I need Milio in now. Who's in Milio over? Yeah, it's probably Milio over Camille for now. Yeah, it's Milio for sure. Milio for sure, bro. God damn it. Or I guess I'm leveling. I could level now, because now I have a lot of upgrades, right? I have Mordekaiser. Sorry, I have Olaf 2, Tom Kench 2. I have Nami 2. I have Smolder 2, and I'm decently rich. Like, now's a good time to maybe push a level here and get an extra body on the table. Hold on to these Olafs. Yeah, I think I should just level. Oh, wow. What? Oh, I got the reroll 5 cost shop. That's perfect. Wonderful. Now I have Camille too. Okay. Spark on Diana is probably good, I would say. Or JG. Both are fine, sure. I should probably just level for that guy, right? Yeah. Here I just level instead of roll. Because the Milio spike is really big, and now I have Camille too. I would have liked to see me sell the Olaf and put the item on the Camille, the Deathblade on the Camille, or even remove it and put on Camille, because I think Camille will do more damage with the built diff, but this is totally fine. Now my board is like giga strong, because now I'm going to get a bunch of items, and if I don't get items, I get damage amp. So I'm pretty sure this Milio is just going to save my whole board. This guy's strong as shit though, holy crap. Playing Varus. It was very close though. His Smolder's just a little bit faster in doing damage than me. Man, I should have reforged the Spat. I would have had a whole extra item here. I feel so ashamed that I didn't do that. Reforging the Spat, like, that's the difference that could be the difference between going first and going second. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, there's no 4 cost that I care about. Oh, I caught a fucking Morgana. That's not very good. I think I sell the Morgana. Yeah, I was saying Morgana is good in some of these situations, but she's not very good right there. Milio 2. Yeah, I'll just play an extra Diana. And I'll Deathblade the Camille, though. It's so much better. I have to Deathblade the Camille. Deathblade the Camille and honestly just make an Eldritch Emblem, because I'm not using those items anyways. I might as well. I missed it, the emblem. Okay, I'm fighting this guy again. Didn't I just fight this guy last turn? But now I have Milio 2. Surely I win now. Okay, I don't win. That's crazy. I fought this guy 2 times in a row. Immune to crowd control is pretty good. How can I fix this board? The thing is, I think I beat the other guy. Do I just cheese my victory? I might just cheese a win here. Because the thing is, I think I beat the other guy, and the guy that's beating me isn't that strong. It's just that he out DPSs me because the Smolder scales. Like, I'm playing a very stall heavy comp, right? Like, I'm trying to stall out. Also, still no Diana 2, by the way. I have to sell that. Yeah, just make Nasus too. And just make the Eldritch Emblem. What am I doing? Just make the Eldritch Emblem. Like, there's no Eldritch anyways. It gives a little bit of HP. I need to optimize. Okay, this guy I think I always beat. This guy looks way weaker than the other guy. The other guy, the problem with him is that he scales like I scale. So I'm trying to stall as long as possible to make my Smolder scale up his Gwinsu. But the other guy's Smolder scales faster than mine. So it just makes it so he executes me. So I definitely beat this guy. Oh, and then the other guy just lost to the other guy. Oh, perfect. So this was just a matchmaking RNG. So I just go first here. I had a feeling I went first, because I remember this game vaguely. I know it was a while ago, but it was the last time I took built diff, because I haven't taken it since. Oh, that's so funny. But anyways, towards the end, I think there was a couple mistakes like that I was pointing out, that I was saying that I'd made wrong or made bad choices. Hopefully I explained the comp really well. Obviously, like, there's some people that will do worse. There's some things that will make you do worse than others. The main thing is you always want to get towards is hitting Milio, hitting some upgraded 5 cost, right? If I had a Diana 2, I pretty much clear the lobby instantly all the time. I was Diana paired for most of the game, but the other person with the Dianas was alive the whole game, so it just made it very difficult. Made it very difficult for me to cap my board out. But like I said, you roll. It's very high roll. You have to have a lot of gold. As you can see, I had a lot of gold because not only did I have a really strong opener that was win streaking, and I had a lot of turns that I could have sacked my HP, right? I basically like landed that plane very close to getting that first. Even in this situation, it was very high roll that I had a smolder 2 instantly. I also had lunch money, which for most of the game, because I was 100 streaking for most of the game, I got a bunch of gold that helped me to hit all of my board. The way you should always think about built diff is that whatever 4 cost board you can imagine, you have to have even more gold than that. You have to have so much gold for built diff. You have to have so much ability to just keep rolling on level 8. It's really difficult to justify going level 9 early. You're kind of just hoping to find some 5 costs on level 8. And then if you're really stable and you're winning every fight and you're really rich, then you can go 9. But you really can't like fast 9 with built diff. It's really like a toss, because then you'll just roll like 0 gold on level 9. And you'll usually just like lose anyways because you don't have enough units. You don't have enough gold to hit and upgrade all the units. So you just gotta stabilize around 4 costs, hope you hit some 5 costs, level late game to cap out your board around an extra unit or 2. And yeah, that was the game. Hopefully it was enjoyable, hopefully it was fun, and hopefully you enjoyed it, right? The main key is Milio, right? If you think that you can guarantee getting a Milio, that definitely boosts your board's damage by an insane amount, and you have to be very strong early. I would never even click this augment if you don't have upgrades already. If you have looks like you have a very strong opener and you have a lot of upgraded units, then I would go for it. But other than that, steer clear of it. But either way, hopefully this was a fun video. Like I said, I had to use an older VOD because I'm out for today, so hopefully it was still enjoyable for you to watch, even though it's a little bit of an older video. But thank you for watching, and hope you have a great day. Bye bye.